Alright YouTube, so for this vlog we'll be doing another Pokemon movie pitch, but this one's a more realistic one, and by realistic I mean this is one I think would more likely be made rather than just sort of my own Pokemon Jones Beach cinematic universe where I talk about, my sci-fi Pokemon movie pitch, my Gengar horror movie that's in the work. And by the way, I'm seeing Nightmare on Elm Street for the first time in a big theater tonight, which will definitely, I expect, to spark some innovation for the Gengar movie, because like I said in my initial pitch that I was gonna base it primarily off a pre-existing horror movie, and I'm thinking Nightmare on Elm Street based on the trailers I've seen is a good contender, but we'll get into that later because I'll be talking about the movie Pokemon Heroes, which I do remember watching back when I was like 13, I think, so this was about 11, 12 years ago or so, but that was long after it had come out, because this movie came out I believe in 2003, which is an interesting year because that's the early 2000s, which goes into an idea I had for if they make Pokemon Heroes in the movie, that they could sort of maybe include some characters having, like the human characters having a year 2000 aesthetic, which could definitely be interesting and definitely translates well to a good throwback on the big screen. I will say I don't remember too much about this movie, but something I do remember, the Lati twins, Latios and Latias, who are really cool legendary Pokemon from the 3rd generation Hoenn region, which is evidently the same region as my Pokemon sci-fi alien-like movie with Deoxys, Rayquaza, and Sceptile, as well as Swampert and Blaziken, but I'll talk about that. I'll make another continuation of my sci-fi Pokemon vlogs eventually, but this is sort of a spin-off to it. But something I do remember or read about this movie review is supposedly it's like a very short movie, like 72 minutes, which for those who are not interested in math is an hour and 12 minutes, which is definitely not long enough for it to leave the hard impact that it was intended to leave, because I do remember, although it'd be a spoiler, I don't remember this too much, but one of the Pokemon sacrificed, or sort of the emotion it was intended to build, wasn't quite put as hard on, because it was it can't do too much and you can only do so much in an hour. But I think if this does get a live action adaptation, that it should be very faithful to the original, but also maybe follow some of the manga that this movie was likely based off of, as well as pre-existing episodes from the Pokemon anime, to sort of fuse it together and make a great movie, because I think that's a great opportunity when they can make something even better than the original, which is uncommon for a movie adaptation or a live action of an animation adaptation or a book to movie to be better than the original. Pretty much unheard of, because the book's always better, as they say, which is definitely true. And that kind of reminds me of how I've heard the Dune series for Dune Messiah, which I'm super excited about for the end of next year, is I heard the movie is, or the book rather, is a little bit odd and kind of hard to make into a movie, as well as a few of the other books down the line are not quite, I don't know, I've just heard not great things about some of the books, or at least they wouldn't translate well to movies. So put it that way, Dune Messiah has an opportunity to do an epic thing and be even better than the book, but love the Dune books, at least the first one that I've read or am reading so far. So maybe if they did make this movie on the big screen, I think it could be really cool to see a lot of the Lati twins having like a flight sequence, because they're sort of alien-like legendary Pokemon, but definitely big flying types, psychic flying they are, but also kind of dragony, so that would translate well to perfectly to an IMAX flight sequence, as I say for every movie that has, flying characters. So this is unrealistic. How I would end this movie would sort of be a nod to the Jones Beach Pokemon sci-fi movie, where it maybe includes characters like Deoxys and Rayquaza to give like a brief Easter egg, or maybe even a post-credit scene, but probably not in reality, but just fun to fantasize. So these are little Pokemon Funko Pops, the Micro Pops. I think they're super cute. This is from the Kanto region, which is primarily what Pokemon Detective Pikachu was based on, but I feel like the movie was kind of just average. I really wanted to like it more than I did. I did like it, but it could have been so great, and anything that was bad or not amazing, or nothing really notably bad about it in my opinion, but anything that was less than stellar could have easily been picked up and amped up, but they still have yet to bring up Pokemon movies, so until then, hopefully they do. We'll conclude this vlog by saying I think it has really good opportunity to include the young characters who are 10 to 12 to 13, however old they are in the anime, on the year 2000, which is a cool aesthetic that translates well to the movies. So it could be interesting to have people relate to the human characters while also feeling the heartfelt emotion of the Lati twins, because they would be great characters. I remember when I was young, I really felt Latios because he was super cool in that movie. I don't really remember too much specifics, but I do remember him leaving an emotional impact for me. We'll conclude this vlog with another little cliffhanger, or not cliffhanger, but introduction for the next Pokemon movie pitch will be about the Lugia movie, and that Pokemon will be even better than the Lottie twins for a live action movie, so look forward to that, and look forward to hearing more about my own personal Pokemon movies. Until then, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay for more soon. Goodbye.